All right, so we are starting to transition because this is gonna be just talking, and we are beyond stoked because we're bringing on in rapper Baby Byron, all the way out from Pennsylvania. So, Baby Byron, how's it going, my friend?
Hello?
Hey, what's good?
You hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear you.
All right, cool. I thought I lost y'all for a second.
No, it's good, man. So what? So let me ask you, man. So who is Baby Byron? Why the name? I that's been something I've been trying to figure out. Who came up with the name for rapper Baby Byron?
So, it's funny. Like a lot of people got a nickname that somebody else gave them. It's pretty much on that type of general thing. I didn't name myself that. It was given to me by a news outlet. A news outlet somewhere in the 90s gave me that name. Yeah.
So you just kind of rolled with it because I know, especially with your story, you've been often labeled as the poster child for opioid addiction in America. And
Right.
you've also made a lot of guest appearances on, CNN, the Montel Williams show. So for all the listeners who don't know who Baby Byron is and your life story, could you explain that to the viewers at home?
Yeah. I'll say who I was growing up because it's way more interesting than who I am now. I just want to say that for the record. But yeah, my name is Baby Byron. I was born July 15th, 1992, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the era of the crack epidemic. And if anybody that's watching this or anybody that will come across this that is familiar with the crack epidemic or the opioid epidemic, it really hit the African-American community really hard. Probably harder than anywhere else, you know what I mean, especially in the 80s and stuff like that.
How old were you when your mom lost her rights?
Officially, my mom's rights was terminated when I was like 4, or like 3 or 4, or something like that, maybe, or something along those lines, because the custody battle for and I'm getting ahead of myself again. Let me backtrack once again back to the significance of what separates me from my cousins, not just of my brothers, my nephews, my homeboys, my neighbors. What separates me from a lot of people is not that I was a crack baby. That's actually what makes us more common. But what makes me different is the proceeding that I ended up following, and that was the interracial custody battle that was over my custody for my biological mother, who was obviously African American, and my foster family, who was Caucasian. So them being Caucasian is actually the reason why I became Baby Byron, because in the media, I was just like the in-between child for everybody. Like, white, not even on the racism thing. It was more so like everybody, as far as I'm concerned, that was in part of the case and stuff like that, was all trying to get the best benefit for me, as best as I seen it. You know what I'm saying? So some people from the outside made it more racially based, but I understand that, because understand this is 92. This isn't 2000 and, you know what I mean? This isn't this isn't last year. This is like so long ago. So I can
But I wanted to ask you this though, because was it difficult as a Black man to live in a white suburban household? Was that a challenge for you? Because I can only imagine, someone, as a person of color living in a household that, I would assume at a childhood age, you knew something was up. And so how was that like growing up with your adopted parents?
This is gonna get real confusing, but believe it or not, I wouldn't know what it's like to grow up in a suburban white household. Honestly, I wouldn't know.
Interesting.
It's just a plot twist, which is, but it's not just y'all. That's actually the common misconception with the Baby Byron story, or the losing. I feel like losing Isaiah takes over the Baby Byron story. If anybody ever seen the movie, I mean, the losing Isaiah story, people, and I'll have to be actually just straight to the point with it. The Baby Byron story and the losing Isaiah story are two separate things, but I know that I'm a part of the reason losing Isaiah was made. Meaning, like, in 1992 to 96, I was like you said, the poster child for an epidemic, also an interracial custody battle that wasn't done before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On a mainstream basis. You know what I mean? CNN was covering it, Ricky Lake was on it, Montel Williams, and a lot of other people. So and it's not like, and there's a big difference from now and then too. You know what I mean? Like when something makes news now, it's like everybody's on it, you know, and then they're on to the next, like in a week or a month. You know what I'm saying? So the information was more disposable. Yeah, I mean, back then it was just like if somebody was on a typical topic, the whole country was involved. Meaning, like when the Rodney King beatings happened, it didn't just like affect one general area. It was like a whole riot followed.
But don't you feel like much of the media hasn't really changed much from the 90s to now? Because it does seem like we all focus on the one topic. The one topic is coronavirus, right? So what's your thoughts on that, baby Byron?
On the coronavirus?
No, just like in general with how the media, because I mean, you were saying, you know, at an early childhood, you had all these people flocking towards your story. And I know you've been stating that a lot of the time, 99% of it's a bit hazy on your end. You're not really sure a lot of that's gone down. But were you old enough during those points to like when you were meeting Montel Williams and seeing all these stories? Or do you look back now at old reports and you're just like learning stuff that you never knew and you're learning it now here in the present time?
No, you know, it's funny. It's almost like an oxymoron. I always knew what happened to me only because I was Byron. I never got to not be Byron. You know what I'm saying? It was like, you know, the transition was like, okay, from, even though, okay, like at 5, I got adopted, right, officially. And it wasn't by the Caucasian family. They were by African American family, actually, and who raised me pretty well. You know, they reared me pretty well. And one thing that I have to say is they tried all their efforts, but upon being baby Byron locally in Pittsburgh at the time, it wasn't easy to be my parent. Meaning, like, they couldn't just go to like Giant Eagle, or y'all might not even know what the hell that is, but there's like
we're West Coast, baby.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that. But you know, they might go to somewhere that is just so local that they couldn't even do, because even though if it might have died off in mainstream, you know, America or national news, locally it was still, you know, baby Byron and the families involved. You know what I'm saying? So.
Real quickly, I know that you had said that because you were born addicted, because your mom, you know, your biological mom was addicted to crack. Do you find yourself that you have an addictive personality because of that? Or, I mean, because sometimes it can be a genetic thing. Like I know genetically for me, I fight addiction because it is in our DNA, but I wasn't born addicted to a substance. So do you find yourself addictive personality, or is that not even in the play?
Man, I'm a stone head, but you know what it is, honestly? I actually just started, actually to be technical with you, I actually just started smoking a year ago. I'm 27 now. And
Why'd you start a year ago?
I started when I went to Los Angeles. I went
to always
LA.
The West Coast, right? It's always the West Coast that gets you all
influenced. It's really
influenced.
Y'all's fault, for real. It's really y'all's fault. You know what I mean?
It's always the West Coast. Hey, man, I mean, we can always argue about, hey, who's got the better music, West Coast or the East Coast? Now it's starting to seem like we got that devil's lettuce over here that's starting to be a little good. But that is interesting, though.
Yeah.
So why'd you start smoking a year ago? I mean, I think that's fascinating.
You know, like say, you know, when you say like to about my mother's history and about a lot of other people's history, and I'm not to discredit nobody's struggles, you know what I mean? I don't know the full, you know, I'm not a scientist, you know, I don't know about the genetic scheme of everything and how it goes. So
sure.
I wouldn't want to go too deep into somebody's addiction. All I know is for me, myself, it was, I dealt with all my problems sober. I mean, my whole life, you know, no matter what it was. You know what I mean? It didn't matter. You know what I mean? I would deal with it on my
Did you have
own
like a
accord.
sense of guilt though when you first tried, you know, marijuana? Because I mean, it's been labeled as a drug. I mean, right next to heroin and cocaine for like the longest time, and I think
Right.
that's like the most outrageous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Right. Yeah.
Is it? Were you influenced in the area of Pennsylvania to really think, you know, marijuana is the gateway drug to becoming, you know, to heroin and cocaine? Do you feel that way?
Hell no. That's like hell no. Those is like two different, like, you know, see, now that's where I definitely want to put my scientific goggles on, because, you know, one of those is like, okay, it just seems like I don't see how those things compare. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and if it is, you know, that's on the individual. I don't believe that's like a general thing. I feel like that's escape. I feel like that's like a usage for escaping, like, to me, like, because I don't feel like nobody ups and says I'm gonna do like these harsh drugs. I mean, they're facing things that aren't weed related. It's not, weed doesn't segue into you and this stuff like that. That's a personal mental condition and a personal thing that you're personally chasing for. You're chasing a high for a reason. You know what I mean? It's not a matter of a weed puts you into a wanting a bigger high. It's whatever your problem you're facing, you're trying to use the high for. Yeah,
have you noticed? I'm really interested. Now that you just started smoking a year ago, have you noticed a difference in your music from before when you were sober and never got high to now when you know, letting your imagination go?
You know, honestly, no, because the studio we go to is Tough Sound Recording, and it's in Pittsburgh. It's at a warehouse. And the engineer, we love him to death, but he's such a stickler. You know what I mean? So we never even like.
How do you get like that's supposed to be like Rostrum Records down there, Wiz Khalifa, Mac Miller? You're gonna tell me they got sticklers down there in the rap studio?
Well, see, understand.
I didn't know East Coast rap had sober rap and West Coast is the one that has the Jolly Rancher with the lean at the bottom of the red cup.
Listen, man, and I don't get it either, man. But you know, it's just one of those things that it's like. You know, we've always respected his space. You know, he's always been a real big contributor to our musical progress. So no time have we ever went into the studio under the influence or in the influence in the studio.
Do you think he's kind of a little bit of a stickler just because he's kind of known a little bit about your past and he's kind of just looking for the best for you? Because, you know, when I hear, you know, that obviously you're 27, you know, a year ago you just started smoking, I can only imagine that maybe some of your family members were like, that knew that you at one point in your life, you joined the gang life. Could you explain a little bit more of what that is? Because honestly, when I look at you, man, you look like the most innocent guy. I mean, truthfully, when I view you, you don't look like no gangbanger. I mean, truthfully, I mean, you got the biggest nice smile on your face right now, smiling. I'm like, dude, what? You couldn't even harm me or a fly, man. So what made you get into this?
Honestly, you know, it's because of my smile, probably. You know what I mean? It's probably because of that. Because when I was younger, I got to understand what family meant. Like, because I was bounced around a lot. You know? So in the process of me being bounced around a lot, the concept of family wasn't on blood relation, you know, for me as a child. So it was whoever was like, you know, with me during any hardships. And I feel like that's where I feel like it could stray any kid into gang activity, even if it's not intentional. Like, I'm going to be a gang member. It's not like I'm like a kid, you know what I mean? Like,
well, how does that work though? Because I mean, look at me. I look like I could be a part of the Powerpuff Girls. I mean, I'm not even tough at all. How does you even get introduced to that kind of lifestyle? Was it just happen to be with friends and
it's your environment? Like, your environment probably wouldn't allow you to do something like that. My environment would, you know what I mean? Because my environment was like, you know, if anybody is really familiar with Pittsburgh, it's, you know, it's harsh. You know what I mean? So especially if you're of an urban and if you're in the urban communities, you know, and that's not to downplay my city. It's just more so to just stay emphasis on if my stories to make sense. It's like, okay, you have to understand it outside of what I'm telling you. Just do what it says, what the landscape's telling you. You know what I mean? And the landscape where I'm from is the stamp bag bricks, the drug dealers, the this, the that, you know, whoop-de-woo. So if I live in this area, how far off am I? And it's not like I look at these people as bad people, because if I know them I don't know you as a drug dealer. You know what I mean? I don't know you as a gang member. So it's like, if I'm with you 99% of the time, it's not like I just up and said I'm a gang member now. It's just because I'm friends with I'm friends with this person. And in the spare time of our day-to-day is criminal activity. That's what they classify. I never actually classified myself as a gang member, honestly.
So how did that work though? So that was,
you know, it's crazy, because when I was in without getting into too much detail, when I was in high school, I got into an altercation. And when I got into this altercation, me and a friend of mine's got into another altercation. It was one altercation, and then between me and one other person, and then another altercation between my friend and some other people. But somehow they tie in all of us on some type of, you know, combating gangs, even if we all are from the same neighborhood, which is funny.
But that sounds so random though, because I've been kind of pressing a little bit. I'm curious, because when I hear the gang life, but now you're kind of telling me it's not really what it was meant up to be. It's someone's kind of construing the way.
Yeah. It's not even that. It's like, even if I do become a felon or whatever in the process, understand how common a felony really is. You know what I mean? Look at statistically. You know what I mean? So like I said, I feel like when the title's put on something, and you know, it has a certain stigma around it, which I understand. But like I said, you know, understanding the gang mentality is nobody is automatically saying I'm a gang member. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're not just coming into it like I'm a gang member. It's just they're with their people. You know what I mean? And then if they're in any activity that's gang related, that's what the gangs and police will label it as.
Gotcha. So all it takes is one individual to be in the group, and then everybody gets slammed with the same classifier.
Yeah.
That's insane.